Welcome back, everybody. Here we are, Game 2 between Toxic Kittens and Fractured Butthole. There were some accidents, Game 1, I think we'll call it, Love. I think that's what we'll call it.
Yeah, there was definitely some technological errors and just some things that are out of anyone's control, really. And it's just unfortunate when that happens, but hopefully for Game 2 we're not going to have any bumps in the road for that, and we'll get a nice, clean game of League of Legends.
League of Legends is what I'm here to watch, so I hope we do get to see it at least a little bit. Maybe not a lot of it, maybe a little bit. But I'm hoping that we do see a change in the top lane, and we already are starting to see it. We see Jace banned.
Right, and other than the Jace ban, we're going to have essentially the same kind of bans coming through. Ivern has actually remained open this time around, not considered enough of a priority pick, especially considering we know Drosiki can play Nunu just fine. Not much of a point in banning it away, and I do like this adaptation. They pick up the Shen, very strong top lane pick, not too bad a blind pick considering the GP is banned as well. Something a little bit safer to make sure that the disparity in the top side of the map is not going to become nearly as big as it was last game.
Teams change sides without letting me know. Unlucky, but I'll get them sorted in just a second. There we go. So stay tuned, guys, because they're still picking. They're still thinking about bans. They're still possibly talking to their teammates, although they could have given up already.
Alright, well, we can assume that they haven't gone that far, but now with the Ivern unbanned and not picked up first pick, we see in the first rotation for the picks for the Toxic Kittens, Karma and Ivern. This is a very, very strong double pickup for the first rotation. We know they're some of the strongest supportive type champions in the game right now. Now, no matter what they pick in the mid lane or in the ADC role, we can expect them to be well protected. And of course, Karma's always got the potential as well for a flex pick to the mid lane. We have seen that once in a while. The Ardent sensor changes a while back, making it entirely possible to still build support in the mid lane. Graves and Xayah have been locked in now. Graves not nearly as popular as he was a few patches ago, but with his strong jungling and very fast clear in the jungle, fast and healthy, it's something that I talked about in the last game. You pick the Ivern and you pick the Nunu because not only do they have the supportive style, but they're also very strong in the counter picking or in the counter jungling scenarios. And with Graves, you clear those camps so quickly that's not exactly something you'd really need to worry about, aside from the first buff being taken.
So now, minus the jungle matchup, because Ivern is definitely resident sleeper, we have Dithex back onto this Xayah. It didn't exactly crazy work out last game. So, I mean, they're still banning the Lucian. Caitlyn was banned away. But is this still really the best pick that they have, you think?
It's interesting because, like you said last game, the bot lane is, of course, not in the meme state it once was. At one point, there's definitely some viable options, and it's not like there was necessarily that many bot lane bans, just really the Karma or the Caitlyn being banned away in the first rotation. But picking something like Xayah, and I'm going to assume if it's not banned away, we're going to just see that Ashe Karma bot lane. Not too hard a lane to really maneuver with and just survive laning phase. I don't know if I would have liked to see something more playmaking, like you said, something like a Lucian, just because the way these compositions are currently panning out, things like Shen and Malzahar, is that really something you want to pick a frontline team fighting ADC with? You would definitely prefer something you can kind of sit back, really position yourself well behind your team. In general, they might just not have enough confidence in their ADC roles to put them on playmakers otherwise, and we see with the Varus locked in now, that's even more utility now provided to really set up Red Flame to be the carry he was last game as well. And we see also in the mid lane matchup, again, Malzahar versus Brand. Brand definitely thinks Haunter x Haunter thinks that's a good counter pick, thinks that's something he can work with in the matchup, and I'm interested to see if he thinks he can turn this around. He did almost get the solo kill earlier. Didn't exactly work out as well as he would have liked. Oh! And we do get to see the Xayah Rakan bot lane up against this Varus Karma. Some things to keep in mind now that we have that locked in. Xayah Rakan, the three things that they do have in their kits when they are put together on the same team, they have the empowered recalls, where one can start a recall early and the other can join in to kind of cheat their recall and get it done a little bit faster. Rakan has longer range to get in range with his shielding mechanic. He'll almost twice as far away with Xayah than he will with any other champion, and he has empowered auto attacks when Xayah activates her W. So,
but so my biggest issue with this Rakan pickup right now is that one of the biggest reasons you pick Rakan is level 1 and pre-level 6. You're very aggressive. You can get in there with the dance and just pop people up, and you can do a lot of things early on for your team. But that's relying on two pretty big things. The enemy bot lane not having a gap closer to get out with, so Ezreal, Caitlyn, Lucian, stuff like that, and just making sure that you can catch them. Karma makes it extremely hard for that to land pre-6, because now she can just shield inspire people away. Inspire. So it's going to be very difficult pre-6, I think, for this bottom lane to do anything to Varus Karma.
Something to keep in mind, though, is what Toxic has really kind of decided for themselves, something they're really going to dedicate themselves to, is what's essentially a death ball comp. They're going to have the Shen and the Rakan run in. One of them is going to either get the flash taunt or the flash charm or a knockup, and then the three main carries just blow everything they can. Graves is going to fire his Q and ulti. Brand, of course, fires his ulti, and we can expect Xayah to get a few feathers in there. And the whole idea is they're trying to break through this initial shielding and this pseudo health that can be coming from things like Ivern and Malzahar passive and Karma shielding. So they're essentially just going to try to brute force the 5v5. Shen is, of course, a very viable split pusher on his own as well, and with GP banned away, and we see Wukong has been the matchup that's been chosen for Red Flame. That's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for Shen. Not only can he block the auto attacks with his W, he also blocks the empowered Q from Wukong as well, so not the worst matchup in the world. And in general, this is a composition that's decided, well, we believe in our 5v5 ability. We believe in our ability to catch out targets with our two main CC initiators and really just try to blow up one or two people right away. Meanwhile, Toxic Kittens, what they've decided to go for is, oh, by the way, it's on the stream, it's torn butthole, because it's a very bad sneaky level pun. I just thought you should know.
Isn't that their name?
It's torn butthole.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, I mean, on the stream, it's slightly different. But anyway, the Toxic Kittens, in the meantime, of course, they do have a few initiation tools. They can catch people out with the Varus ulti or with the Malzahar ulti. But in general, they kind of want to kite back. They've got the Ivern and the Karma for it. They want Varus to be applying all of his stacks everywhere before he really has to get into the fray and use his abilities. So they're probably just going to be waiting for the Rakan and the Shen to initiate, be ready to peel backwards, and hopefully just out team fight them in the 5v5.
I mean, I would have liked to see a bit of a different draft. I don't think the Xayah really worked last game. I think if you swap it for a Twitch, you get a huge increase there, and you don't have to worry about, some unfamiliarity with the champion and stuff like that. So you don't. It's a lot different there because you can get in and out. You can do different things. Wow, I messed up their team name everywhere. Holy moly. And then one thing I would have really liked to see is replace the Graves with Kha'Zix. That way you have 2 good submarine initiators with the Shen. Kha'Zix can still clear fairly quick, and he just straight up demolishes Ivern in that 1v1, along with being able to have a bit more pick potential, I feel. And then the submarine potential is obviously huge on both, you know, any type of lane gank and then a bottom lane gank. So I do think those would have been stronger picks here, but I could also be wrong.
And we'll just really have to wait until the game really unfolds to see. Wukong's gone for the Thunderlords, which means he doesn't really want to be split pushing into the Shen because that Thunderlords becomes irrelevant very, very quickly in the 1v1. Instead, he wants to burst down some targets in the 5v5 team fight. And that's what this Thunderlords is basically saying. We see Storm Raider Surge, again, has become the norm for Graves since he's been nerfed a little bit to things to his True Grit and stuff like that. With no longer getting magic resist from stacks of True Grit means he wants to have that extra mobility to be able to kind of walk around, skill shots, dodge some stuff he otherwise would be tanking. And we see Thunderlords again for the brand, something very unusual. You don't see very many brand players not opting for the Deathfire Touch. Typically with champions with the dot,
Yes.
you see one of two things: the Storm Raiders or the Deathfire Touch, and taking Thunderlords instead.
Storm Raiders is something we've been seeing a lot of, actually, pretty much across the board, everywhere except bot and top lane, which for those of you counting means mid lane and jungle. So that's where we're seeing a lot of these Storm Raiders, and it's just because, you know, they're very picky type champions. You know, we have Kha'Zix, Graves, stuff like that. I've seen Talia's building into the mid lane. I've been seeing LeBlanc's building it. I've been seeing it all over the place, and it seems ridiculously strong right now. But with so many changes to runes and stuff coming in, I don't think we're really going to be seeing a change to it anytime soon.
So something to take note of for that invade we just saw blue team commit to. They just wanted to get a ward into the blue side, see where this Ivern's starting, so they can assume, hey, Ivern's probably going to be trying to take one of our camps level 1 or level 2. Let's check this out and see what happens, but looks like we got a face check.
He's going to walk into the bush and the CC won't land, but that makes jungle main have to start taunt, which is going to make this early laning phase really difficult for him. And he backed late, which means either he burns TP to get to lane on time, or he has to miss CS. And Haunter is
doing how that works, Brand.
Damnedest to try and, you know, make that take as much time as possible. But
you always see somebody try to out-cheese the Ivern level 1, and I have to say this every single time. You have to hit the Ivern to disrupt it. If you can't hit the Ivern, then just walk away. He's taking the camp.
Which, you know, he started it. He landed the Pillar of Flame and was doing his best.
Right, it was a little bit of extra delayed for the Ivern, and it gave Graves an opportunity to... there's a Thunderlord's proc. Gave Graves an opportunity to keep up with the early clear from the Smite.
There's the level 2. Lots of damage coming out onto jungle main. And this is... I can definitely tell they tried to pick him a better matchup this time. But this is still going to be a rough one.
Right, and that's what happens with the Shen. He is considered a blind pick worthy champion, but at the same time, it's not like he has the strongest matchups into non-tanks to begin with. It's going to be tough no matter what, and we got a gank in the mid lane.
We do get the ghost pop out, though. That's all it's going to require, though. So, repeat ganks are going to be better. They're just not going to be the best. Maggie goes in, does miss the dance knock-up, though, so he will be forced to back off. And the blade dance does not connect the feathers. I'm not gonna lie, I actually don't really know Rakan's spell names outside of the quickness. And that one's just because QuickShot says it a lot.
Nice
Big two-man knockup in the bot side. There is an exhaust onto Samano. Meanwhile, first blood in the top lane. Tim gets beaten out by mere seconds. And I believe, yeah, a completely unassisted first blood in the top lane. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to get that for you. But
that's another kill.
That's a solo kill in the mid lane. The Ignite coming in bigly there.
And this is just a lot of greed coming in for the mid and bot lane of Toxic Kittens. Malzahar is going to go down with his flash still available. Heal still up for Varus, not expecting the flash auto. But it's like they're going to be going for a very early Drake take because of the mid and bot lane dying to kills.
Yeah, I mean,
dying to kills. That makes sense.
The bot lane is in a spot to contest, but with no vision, they simply won't know that they have to. It does make it weird backing-wise for Dithex and Maggie, though, if they decide, Samano decides to now push.
They did manage to keep the lanes in nice positions, though. Of course, Karma wanted to freeze the wave anyway to try and save as much of that minion XP as possible for her ADC. But at the same time, that means that there's not going to be much missing for Xayah and Rakan once they come back to this lane either.
Yeah, so now things get really incredibly difficult for Jungle Main here because he wants to build armor, right? But Wukong's Q shreds armor. So it's really hard for him to try and build appropriately for this lane.
And it really is just one of those situations where it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. He's going to have to build the armor regardless, but at the same time there is a lot of magic damage from the rest of the team anyway. We have 3 AP from the Ivern, Malzahar, and Karma. That's all magic damage. And the tank shredding ability, the Blight stacks from the Varus, that's magic damage too. And that's a lot of magic damage you're going to be taking because you're forced to build armor in this matchup.
Yeah, and it's... This draft, along with the last one, is really telling of how Torn Kittens know that they have the favorable skill discrepancy up in that lane, and so they're just like, we're going to abuse it. Like, we know what we got, we're going to make it work, and so let's take this.
Uh-oh. A little bit more trading back and forth.
Now, that isn't to say that Shen can't recover this lane, right? Like, I mean, there's still a chance.
Oh, especially under tower. Yeah, there's the definite chance to turn this around, and it's definitely possible that the taunt is always ready to set up ganks. It's just the problem right now being we can see Wukong's backing away. He's already got a nice CS lead as well. He's perfectly comfortable backing away, letting him reset the wave, and coming back to bully him a little bit more.
I mean, I think we're going to see a Ghostblade once again coming out from Red Flame. The move speed will definitely be helpful later on. I'm just curious if it wouldn't be better to go Cleaver right off the bat.
I mean, it's definitely a decision you can make. Uh-oh. We have a gank coming in the top lane. There's the Blast Clone.
There's the taunt. It is going to land. Red Flame clones out, but he should not be able to survive. There's the end of the line. Doesn't matter. Jungle Main hits him in the back of the head with a sword.
And Wukong's immediate response, of course, is to buy more long swords because with enough of those, those 5 HP pots that Shen came back to lane with won't matter too much. Just win the all-in beforehand. Uh-oh, we have an all-in in the mid lane.
The stun comes in, Ignite goes out, Silence is going to land, Flash out from Haunter as well, but for Ghost, that is a trade that Z-Leon is going to take every day of the week.
I mean, it's very reminiscent of the game before. The exact same thing happened. Brand is the one opting for the all-in. Uh-oh.
Big
Speaking of all-in,
gets the knock-up. Samano, though, there's the Chains of Corruption. Samano barely surviving. There's the heal. There's the dance. There's the second root. Now Shockwave is in a world of hurt. Maggie is barely alive, gets the flash out of Shockwave though, and the fractured, torn butthole. I keep saying fractured because that's the actual joke, but that is, they win the trade.
And that's just a result of a little bit of miscommunication as well. Varus was much further ahead than Karma was. He manages to get caught out by the recon initiation, and they kind of really couldn't pick a target on who they wanted to focus first, and they wind up losing 3 summoners for 1.
So has Red Flame gone back to lane since his death? I haven't actually noticed.
It looks like he's been on a little bit of an invasion spree. He's taken a camp, he's placed down a couple deep wards, and it's looking like he was a little upset about that gank earlier, and it no longer wants that to occur again.
Back in the lane, there was a good refuge from jungle main. The unfortunate thing is that Red Flame's combo is up way quicker than Shen's. So, I mean, he half health him in one trade there.
And this is something that's really starting to worry me a little bit. Shen keeps on every single time. He did this the game before as well. He knew he was in a losing matchup and just decided to buy as many HP pots as he could carry. Uh-oh. Now that they're all in, maybe?
They're doing what they can. The knockup is going to land, which puts Maggie in a seriously bad situation. There's the Inspire Shield, Inner Flame to the mouth as well. There's the knockup, jungle main force the taunt away. Meanwhile, Tim's made his way to the bot side. There's no flash. There's the quickness knockup, gets one. Diathex takes it for himself. Meanwhile, jungle main somehow still alive in that top side.
And the reason for that being, even though Wukong has the jump on him and has the red buff as well, he wound up queuing a minion, and that's a lot of damage lost on what would otherwise be a very weakened Shen. I don't know about going back in though.
That was a fairly good Spirit's Refuge. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the passive from Brand blows up Xyleon. Knocked up onto some mono. Can they get the kill? They use the damage, get out. They barely survive. I believe that was the Dangerous Game passive, keeping Maggie alive.
That actually wasn't the Dangerous Game. He got the heal from his Q. Remember, the Q is delayed on Rakan, but when he makes contact with another one of his teammates, it procs the Q instantly. Plus, he got a little bit of that shielding from the dash as well, and that was just enough to keep him alive without having to use that heal.
And this tower in the mid lane not quite gonna go down. Soon, though. Soon.
But getting that first tower gold as well, with all these kills that are going down in the mid and bot lane, the Torn Butthole is actually managing to have a little bit of a gold lead at 11 minutes in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6-1. They got the first blood. No, they lost the first blood. First blood went to Red Flame. But to then follow it up with five more kills after that, you know, losing that first tower, really not that impactful. But it'll be curious to see how things go from here. Pings on the dragon and on the bottom tri-bush. Red Flame could try and make his way down here.
Now we see that there's going to be a push coming in the mid lane with no response. The Voidlings are going to come out to help finish that push. That's just some bad timing on the backs.
Red Flame goes in, he gets the kill in, but it should be traded. Yeah, the Ignite was enough, so Haunter's gonna pick that one up. Ghost was popped by Xyleon, but the Ocean Drake should be the treasure at the end of the roadmap here.
Looks like they might be wanting to contest this though.
Ultimate. There's the quickness gets on to all 4 members. Meanwhile, Diathex gets a dish pod. Huge root coming in. Shockwave, though, is going to survive. Some mono left without a care in the world. Ends up going down. It is a 2-4-0. But the Torn friends are able to secure the dragon. Now, Kittens.
Toxic Kittens.
Toxic Kittens. They secure the dragon. God.
They do manage to get the Drake, but I don't know if it's worth it at this point. They're definitely giving up a lot of freestanding gold they don't need to otherwise.
Yeah, that bottom tower definitely will be going down, and I would hope that this mid-lane tower goes down as well.
Yeah, I'm assuming these towers are going to be going down very shortly. Here comes another creep wave, and that's the cannon wave in the mid lane.
Red Flame goes in, no ultimate pop. So he does lose half his HP. Ghostblade gets popped, wants to go back in, but the Pillar of Flame landed pretty nicely. So he will not get the chance to go aggressively.
Now he's got to go for the top side and try and pick up that farm. I really hope he doesn't feel the need to use the teleport, but he might just...
He has to burn the TP. That's a large wave right there.
And now that's another global disadvantage they're going to have. The Stand United was used in the Dragon fight, but Shen's TP is still readily available, so all he has to do is match the Wukong wherever he goes, and they're going to have that global advantage for quite some time now.
Yeah, we have seen that Red Flame wants to be involved with his team, though, so I don't think he's too concerned.
Right, and this is just going to become an issue because now Shen has the option to split push where otherwise Wukong might not be able to. We do see some scaling up now beginning to happen. The redemption's been completed for the Ivern. Blade of the Ruined King's almost complete. Rod of Ages already stacking for the brand. Maybe a catch.
It's gonna land, so is the taunt. There's no damage here though, so all that is just to keep the ward alive. But they do succeed in their mission.
So we see now there's going to be some stacking up going on. We do want to have Shen getting his items soon. He's going to be going for...
this is not good for Dyfax. Gets jumped on, gets knocked up, nowhere to go. Uses the Hail of Feathers. What? Excuse you, sir? Sir, you can't do that.
That was a little bit of a mechanical misplay. Red Flame deciding to hold on to his ulti a little too long, and...
Daisy comes out, Red Flame gets the shield, gets the bounce though. The explosion with the Thunderlords is enough to take the kill. Maggie Chu's gonna get the knock up. Can they do any more? Is silenced. Ghost gets popped. Quickness gets popped. The stun comes in. Zera Leone should go down. Maybe. Eventually. There it is. Maggie Chu with the snipe.
Last Rakan Q though. Very cheeky. You don't see those very often, and you don't see a Rakan with multiple kills as well, but all over the map, Toxic Kittens are getting outplayed. They're getting a little too aggressive with their calls, and they're getting punished for it heavily.
Yeah, this game is
now not
inherently going way better for the butthole than the previous game.
Yes, this time around, it may not be the butthole that's being torn, but
and can I take a minute? So... You know, some of the casters here, they want to use these tile games for, you know, a portfolio. They want to be professional. Right. They might even send these off to Riot. And we have teams like the Torn Butthole coming in here, and now this VOD is worthless.
Well, no, you could still use this VOD because saying Torn Butthole is just as embarrassing as, say, casting for a Team Liquid game. I mean, it's really... honestly the same, just one's a little more transparent with it than the other.
Holy moly.
No, in all honesty though, again, a lot of the reason that these series are played is for the fun of it. Of course the competition helps a lot, but in general it's supposed to be entertainment first. It's a way for the players to really get themselves involved with the game they love to play, and you know,
the Dragon and Elder Link.
What?
That is a misclick.
That's a hotkey mistake.
He did mean to click his control ward, and we see Haunter aggressively going forward. They're gonna get the Scuttle Crowd. All I was saying is the Elder and Dragon Leagues are there for learning experiences. They are here so that players can get better and hopefully improve, and one day maybe make their way into the Phoenix League, which is the more professional side of things. But we do see Samano professionally walking forward and auto-attacking that tower.
In the meantime, we can see there's not much of an answer in the top side either. They don't really commit to the gank. Tim just goes through the most obvious route to hit Wukong with a single auto and walk away. Just in general, you can tell even though Wukong is 1-3 right now, people are still very afraid of the potential damage from Red Flame. They're not really committing. He's pushing on his own. He's only got one ward in the top side jungle, and yet nobody's full on committing to go for him. Looks like they now might be grouping as 4 to try and finish off this Wukong.
They really want to
goes
kill
for the
him
engage.
right The stun is going to land onto the clone. They're burning a lot in this fight. However, that was 4 ultimates? 3.
3 ultimates burned.
With
definitely not a single one of them
seconds.
necessary.
Well, so the thought process there is kill the Wukong, fall back to Dragon. The problem is they took so long doing that, they're way too late for Dragon, and they don't have any utility to take said Dragon. So,
however, they do have enough time to get this Rift Herald for free. Brand's going to be going for a hero steal. Okay.
that was... Come on, buddy. What did you really expect to happen there?
No, I was assuming that was a steal.
No, not you. I'm talking to Brand.
I know. I just, I mean, I know it's an Infernal Drake, but there's just so much you can do as a Brand, especially with the Rod of Ages. I'm not quite sure what he expected there. He might have started to hear the dubstep going on in his head. He saw the montage play, and he went for it. And, I mean, nothing else was cinematic.
Yeah, unfortunately, they also don't get the top tower like I thought they were going to. They went all in on that Rift Herald, but that should equal a tower later on.
Yeah, Red Flame was forced to burn the teleport once again to recover this top tower, and now he's got a push going on again. What I would really like to see is, I mean, he's got an Ivor on his team. That's one of the best champions to possibly set up vision for the rest of his team. I don't know why he hasn't been topside to get some deep wards and make sure this Wukong can split push safely. That's the whole point of getting him ahead early on.
I think part of the thing is, professionally, we've been seeing Ivorns trade over to the Sightstone style build path, whereas Drazoki here has gone to the old school
Smite-stone. The Smite-stone.
Smite-stone. There's an actual name for it, folks, but Red Flame has the tower name tattooed on his butt, and he is forced to run away.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, there's only so much disrespect you can give to a Shen to begin with, but just autoing the tower right next to him, all that's going to get you is a taunt to the face, and he actually was one tower shot away from just straight up dying for a little bit of extra damage on the top tower. And I do like the plan. They did manage to get all the deep vision Red Flame could possibly ask for. Look at all those wards littered on the top side of the jungle now. But at the same time, he decides to go to the bottom side of the map, and now is going to mid side. So all that vision they set up was all just theoretical, and now they got to defend a mid.
How dare you guys ward for me? But in the meantime, Pyroclasm goes out. AZ and the Herald are fighting for their dreams. Red Flame, though.
Oh, they have no idea he's here.
Like, this wave's going to come in. They're going to push forward. Red Flame is barely not going to move. Chains of Corruption goes out. Knock up and the Shen ulti on to Tim. Tim's still alive, though. He makes it out. He makes it in. They're trading back. Maggie Chu survives as well. The blade color hasn't come out yet. Feather's still on the playing field. But so far, it is a 1-for-0. That's all we're going to see.
And what made that team fight plan fail so miserably for the Toxic Kittens is, first of all, Wukong did not get... Oh, Ivor, no.
It's fine. Oh! The flash taunt! What was that?
And with now 2 more members dead, they're going to be able to streamline and push to the bottom lane now, take advantage of the fact they just won another team fight. But that occurred because first Wukong did not get the greatest ulti in the world. He managed to only hit Graves with his ulti that entire time. Didn't really go for the big group. He just hit the first person he saw. And at the same time, Rakan went in, burned everything he possibly had to delay the rest of the team from following up. He managed to charm them and knock them up, and still managed to escape because, of course, like we mentioned before, the Xayah-Rakan duo gives Rakan a lot of extra mobility. He has such a long leash range that he managed to jump from the Xayah, jump to the Xayah from the entire rest of the enemy team, and that wound up being a 1-for-0 and 2 towers taken just because a little bit of miscommunication and a little bit of outplaying led to a huge gold deficit now for the Toxic Kittens.
Yeah, and you know, we see the jungle item, not jungle item. The support item not finished for Maggie just yet. They did decide to go the coin route. It's basically a 50-50 with Rakan too. Ivern though.
Oh, no flash. Goodbye.
See ya.
And this is another issue. There's literally just one red trinket on the side of the Toxic Kittens right now. This is one of the problems with getting this Smite Stone. Yes, it's a little bit cheaper. Alright, you managed to save 150 gold. Well, that 150 gold turns out to be not too valuable when you're now forced to keep your yellow trinket or give up several wards in your slots just because you wanted to save a little bit of extra gold. Just not worth it. And now with all this face checking he's had to do in the last couple minutes, he winds up going down and gives up a ton of pressure and a ton of vision all over the map.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about Dythex not quite having the best Xayah game last time. He's 3-0-5 this time, lots better.
Missed the taunt.
Taunt doesn't land. Red Flame's just gonna say, fine, I'll take your tower and then run away from you. But Ghost gets popped, collateral damage goes in, Pyroclasm getting multi-bounces, the quickness goes in, the quickness goes out, and that is another kill for Dythex.
See that Ivern has completely disregarded the rest of his team. He wants to support Red Flame down here in the bottom lane. He's got the Redemption and the Athenes for it. Or not. Hello?
Hello?
Ivern?
Ivern sees the dragon.
Alright. So Ivern literally walked across 3/4 of the map to steal away a red buff, and now he's going to be starting on the Drake. And it did wind up working out for the better. They managed to hold off the push in the top side.
And it is an Infernal Drake. This is their second of the game. This is pretty huge.
Right, and he's decided to even use Daisy to hopefully speed up the process a little bit.
Oh,
They
no.
know that the rest of the enemy team is
No
coming, but they're
smite
committed.
available. Red team gets it. Taunt goes in. Drizoki should be going down. Red Flame's going to flash the wall into Brand. Doesn't get stunned, however. Can he get away? There's the Ghost Blade. Taunt to get closer.
Where's he going?
He's just kind of wasting time. He knows he can't get away. Oh, he gets the Ocean Drake, though. He can heal back to full.
Oh, he's getting the Sunfire procs on him. The Ocean's gone.
Taunt comes in. Kills the clone. 35 gold. Thanks for playing. Oh, he's gonna get the boss
he
code.
might be able to get to the
He's
plant.
gonna. Oh! Jungle main says not today.
What a heartbreaker.
And I mean, he still has TP and Stand United if he really wants to go join his friends in the mid lane.
Right, and I fully expect them to be using it now because this is the time, this is the opportunity they have. They know there's no Wombo comp available.
Oh no! They forced the heal. Stand United is so late though.
What? Stand United was used, but it was used for what was essentially one last tick of Malefic Visions from the Malzahar.
After the heal had been burned even. So a bit of a miscommunication there. But
In the end, the Toxic Kittens wind up not getting punished whatsoever for that dragon take. Yeah, they lose a couple more kills, but there's no towers taken. Only Summoner burned is the flash from the Wukong.
and
But
Torn actually don't have any wards on this Baron pit right now.
right, and this, despite the huge score difference, this game is a lot closer than it should be. 27 minutes in the game, you'd expect a 15 kill lead to be a little bit more than just 5,000 gold, especially considering just how much of an early lead they managed to get. They are only one tower ahead. They lost both the scaling drakes. Now that's going to be a little bit of damage.
Sa is right, Shockwave. They're trying to bait out this Baron, but they didn't clear the blue ward off the Baron itself. But knock up onto Xylo.
They're gonna catch.
Quickness now gets used. Taunt comes in. Daisy goes out. Suppression goes in. Dythex is dominating him. But Daisy says, hello, goodbye, my old friend, and trades it 1-for-1.
So they wind up losing the mid laner for the support. Probably going to be worth, especially considering they can now choose to push up the mid lane. They know that there's not going to be nearly as much damage coming out now, especially if they can keep the Shen in control again. And the big thing is the Redemption's still available for Rakan too. He can use that wall dash. So the Pyroclasm is going to go out for the Brand. A little ambitious, especially considering he didn't even really set anyone on fire beforehand.
So, one thing I don't think we noticed, but look at the CS difference between Haunter and Xyleon.
Right. And
Haunter has almost gotten Flame Horizon.
And that's not too surprising considering the priorities these teams have had. Brand has almost always been with the team. Meanwhile, Malzahar, when Wukong is not picking up the farm, the Malzahar is the one picking up the farm. They've been sending the Varus to the mid lane with a little bit of backup to be clearing these waves, and with the way the farm distribution has been, that's not too surprising. And now they're starting up the Baron, 2 people in base as well.
So this is a pretty perfect Baron call. Yes, Drizoki can get in. It doesn't matter though. Taunt comes in. There goes the Ivern. They do cancel the TP as well, but the back timing there was so perfect. Samano back in base. Red Flame back in base. The only people able to respond were Drizoki, Xyleon, and Shockwave. And Drizoki should never win a smite fight. You shouldn't, as Ivern, win smite fights.
I mean, he's a full 4 levels down. This is what happens. Oh, we have a little bit of a disconnect. But this is what happens when the farm distribution is the way it is. Like we said, Brand is about to get Flame Horizon, but where is all that farm potentially going to instead? It's going to the big graves. He's got 189 farm. He's got literally the most farm on his team, and that's why he's got such a huge level disparity compared to the Ivern. You'd think this Ivern would be the one disconnecting this game with just how large an XP deficit he has. 4 levels down, that's not exactly a smite you can compete with to begin with. Although I do want to point out, it's not like we really have the access to replays midstream. But if you want, actually, with this pause, it's a perfect opportunity to go back to the Baron. The smite went down a little early anyway. Even though he didn't necessarily outsmite the Ivern in any sense, what did wind up happening was I believe the Baron went down to, what was it, 70 HP or so, and was taken by an auto instead. Yeah, 77 HP, and that's when the smite went down by Graves. That was a very possible Baron steal if Ivern was a little quicker on the gun.
That is pretty quick.
Yeah, as we can see in the slow replay, 77 HP, and as the Ivern goes in for the Q, if he had just opted to commit a little bit earlier, he might have even been able to steal that away. We don't know. But
and there is no more now, go live button on the time controls. So
right.
I'm kinda.
Right, I see that now.
It says it's 8x, but I don't really believe it. But I don't quite know what else to do.
What is the stream delay?
Yes.
Yes, the stream delay is yes.
The stream is delayed. I think it's like 10 seconds or something.
Okay, because it says, so if the stream's 10 seconds, then we should be fine. Stream delay, 10, 12 seconds.
But, I mean, so now it is 20 to 4, 5 towers to 4, 6k gold lead. What do Torn have to do to get back in this?
Honestly, not too much. You know, just a game-changing fight is all they really need. I mean, anyone can do that. What I really want to see is I want to see them actually use their abilities correctly. We haven't seen a single good Wukong ult. We haven't seen... Malzahar's been a non-factor as well. Not a single QSS bot on the side of on Torn. And the reason for that being, I mean, you never actually see the Malzahar ulti come out. He's not going for flashy plays. He's not even really abusing the fact that Malzahar's ulti range is a little deceiving. And of course, the Varus has not really been contributing as well. Only 1 assist and really not poking. He's gone the team fighting build with the Blade of the Rune King and the Hurricane. So I want to see them get a catch, a real catch. They have the tools for it, and they just have not utilized them correctly yet. At the same time, I'm a little confused as well. Rakan, instead of opting for the one of the Aegis items, or maybe getting a Knight's Vow, something like that, he's opted for the Zhonya's instead. Zhonya's, I mean, you're gonna look flashy doing it, but you're not that ahead, and it's going to be very worrying if he tries to use the Zhonya's instead of something else in the middle of a team fight. That's just not something you build. The AP scalings aren't that strong, and
I mean, he's now healing for 200 HP. His shield is now shielding for. His shield is now 150. His shield has a like 0.9 AP ratio on it.
right, but you could argue at that point, if you really want to build AP, build an Ardent Censer or an Athene's. I mean, Zhonya's, really?
There's definitely options, but you know what? He's winning by 16 kills. They're winning. You can do a lot when you're winning.
So the disconnect has still gone on. We're about to be heading to the 5-minute mark, and I'm expecting teams to unpause shortly, regardless of whether or not everything's been sorted back. In the meantime, I suppose we could continue to talk about the game. I did like the Baron call. They managed to time it perfectly. 2 people stuck in base. Wukong starts channeling the teleport, but it's a little bit too late. And they do manage to get the Baron. A little bit dangerous with how low they let it get before the smite secured it. But it does wind up working out, and it was essentially a good call in theory.
Yeah.
So now it's a matter of whether or not they can finish this game out and manage to push down the rest of the map with the Baron buff. There's not exactly a lot of wave clear on the side of Toxic Kittens as well. I mean, Malzahar is not exactly known for his wave clear, and even though that's a Blade of the Rune King, Hurricane, Varus, he's just so far behind, he's not really going to be dealing a lot of damage.
Yeah, and you know, losing your AD carry right after taking Baron hurts, but we have gone over the 5-minute pause, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. Chat is not helping me figure that out.
I'm assuming last game there was a little bit of argument going on. It may be that the Toxic Kittens have offered up their 5-minute pause as well to give more time. But aside from that, there's been a little bit of trash talking going back and forth as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just overall, it's been an interesting game. It's I definitely like seeing this proactivity from Torn. They managed to really make a very strong comeback for Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, if they can manage to get their AD carry back on the field and close this game out, then we'll head to a Game 3. Unfortunately, if that can't happen, this would be the series going over to
the Toxic Kittens,
Kittens, yeah. Which is all levels unfortunate, but unfortunately.
But at the same time, I mean, you can expect these kinds of things to happen when you've apparently recruited Incarnation in the mid lane. Alright, that was pretty bad. But yeah, it's interesting to see that these teams have apparently collaborated to give the full 10-minute pause time to try and get this AD carry back in the game. I'm honestly a little bit confused as well, because we did see the Xayah disconnect. We received the notification for that. But at the same time, I see the Xayah walking out of base. And that's pretty confusing, because the disconnect came during the recall, and it's not like you can queue new movements after recalling once you disconnect. Definitely strange.
Maybe our client just bugged out, but I don't think that's what happened. I do think that Yeah, so it is that both teams are using their 5-minute pause. So there is a minute and a half remaining. After that, we will have to, I believe it's continue/forfeit. I'm not sure. I think it depends on what the team is.
Right. I'm going to assume they have such a huge lead. They just got the Baron. They might be willing to just play it out anyway. No reason not to, essentially. They've got a very sizable gold lead. And who knows? They might be able to continue to push 4v5 anyway. I mean, the Ivern is down as well for another 15 seconds due to that attempted Baron steal.
30 seconds remaining, probably.
I'm looking forward to actually seeing this game get continued and seeing if the Toxic Kittens now can take advantage of the unfortunate disconnects and maybe turn this into a 2-0 comeback. Who knows? So, what I want to see both teams do. Let's talk about win conditions as they're going to be setting up for this game in a moment. Oh. Never mind. We do have the Xayah reconnecting. Alright.
Extreme last second reconnect.
Right. They did go slightly over the limit, but that's alright. We're going to be finally getting back into the game.
Any second now. There's the countdown.
Yep.
There we go. We did it. Well, not us specifically, but somebody did it, and I'm claiming responsibility. But, so we're back into the game, you know, for what do the Kittens have to do to get into this game and finish it? I mean, you mentioned that we need one good ultimate out of Red Flame, but, you know, they're facing a Baron-empowered team right now.
Right, but just keep in mind that there's no QSSs, no cleanses, no Mikhail's Crucible available for Torn. They have no way to really escape the CC, the targeted CC, mind you, of Malzahar, and I want to see them abuse that. I want to see them go for some kind of play onto the Xayah, just ulti her before she can really do anything about it and take advantage of that. We see that there's going to be a mid lane push. Jen's trying to match that.
But there is a tower going down in the top lane for free. And so now Red Flame has to get something done. I mean, he's kind of just meandering around, not really doing anything too much. And Malzahar now has a Banshee's Veil on top of his passive.
I mean, we can see the Brand. He keeps walking forward because he wants to land those Pillars of Flame. That's the opportunity. Flash forward with the Malzahar ulti and take him down. Oh, there's the root. Come on.
There's the Shen ultimate coming in.
The Shen ultimate goes down.
Scares them all away completely, and Red Flame just runs back mid.
Right, that's burned now. Now that's definite opportunity to go for the flash play. Now is the time, if ever. They're not going to be able to keep clearing these waves. They're going to have to go in for something.
They simply just don't have a top laner, however, so they're definitely scared of having to go in.
At the same time, though, the Toxic Kittens or the Torn are just not really pushing this as hard as I thought they would. Now Shen's realizing he needs to back off. He's backing away. We've got 3 recalls. They're all recalling. They've realized that they're not even going to be able to get anything more than a tier 2.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to trade towers. Like, there isn't... I guess I misspoke. Red Flame is able to get that tower and probably get away. Yeah, he's going to get away. Tim
Blade
says
of the Ruin
hello. It is some of the...
Oh, he's going to be able to get away.
Out of that. Oh,
yeah.
The flash! Tim's so aggressive. Oh,
whoa! Red Smite.
Unlucky.
Why didn't he flash the ulti? Oh my goodness.
Red Flame dies to the Red Flame Smite.
And that's just greed, honestly. That's nothing. Oh, okay. That BM from the Shen autoing the blue buff. You really wanted it. But, I mean, this late into the game, you can't take chances. If you think you might die, you just need to burn the summoners. There's no reason not to burn the flash there.
Yeah, I mean, he was down for 40 seconds. There isn't a crazy push coming out. And they already know that they can defend these waves 5v4. They've done it before. They pop out the Daisy. They're playing less far forward, though. Tower goes down.
Again, this game is just very confusing. Just the commitments from both teams, it's been constantly swapping. I honestly can't tell what these teams are thinking. Oh, he's just going for the engage.
Damage. Red Flame gets one, runs away from the redemption. However, second redemption comes down, not going to land either. Samano goes in, gets one, Brute onto two. Can they get more? There's the Spirit Refuge. Flash dodges away from the Shen taunt, but double kill comes in for Haunter.
They might be continuing this push. No, they realize there's no creep wave available. It's winding up being a 2 for 3. But again, very confusing. They don't manage to stop the push beforehand. They don't make any real contest to keep the tower inhib alive. And then as soon as they lose it, they go in for an engage that's all disjointed, and they wind up just losing more people for it and burning summoners that they're not going to have now for the next important fight.
Which
they know they have a deficit. They have to play smart, and they have to catch the enemy team off guard. Going for a straightforward, let's just run at them and hope they all run into the Wukong Cyclone is just not going to work.
Yeah, and you know, you have such heavy engage, you have the Wukong, you have the Ivern, you have the Karma, the Varus, the Malzahar that you keep mentioning, and you know, last time we saw them defend top lane 5v4. They had Shen there, they didn't have the Wukong because Wukong was mid. That same exact scenario happens again in the bottom lane, except this time, you know, Red Flame's technically dead for 5-10 seconds, but this time they decided to just give it up.
Right, and it's just honestly, it's a little confusing. Just I don't know what the game plan was there, but or who called it exactly. It's just, it's basically just throwing things at the wall and see if they stick. It's not really a thought out plan, and you wind up getting punished for it, losing a little bit more. And with this Baron coming up in a minute, I guarantee you they're going to be wishing they had those summoners available.
Yeah, I mean they have Flash on the Karma and the Ivern and the Wukong. They also have TP available on the Wukong. So they can keep him bottom lane with the super minions and hopefully get, you know, call in the appropriate time frame.
I remember this is still a 4-level deficit between the Graves and the Ivern, so it's the same situation with just how much harder it's going to be to steal that Baron. Is that the new Zeke's I saw? Yeah, that's the new Zeke's bought by Karma. She's using it. For those who are unaware, the new Zeke's is very interesting. You bind to someone like you do before, but when you cast your ultimate near the person you bind, you have this kind of okay, we're getting into a fight.
Suppression comes in onto Graves, Stand United, and the Blade Dance come in. 3-man knockup coming out of the Rakan! Sarleon is getting beaten up in the alleyway. Will finally go down. Red Flame finally making his way in. Half HP, jumps in, gets one, and then actually, he didn't even get one. I thought he got one, he didn't. Tim's alive. Meanwhile, stun comes in, ace goes out. That should be the game. The shortest death timer is 20 seconds on the Karma. However, this won't be the game. There aren't minion waves in the appropriate spot. So they should...
I think they'll be able to end it. I mean, there's literally no one to be able to stop them. They can just keep pushing. They got 2 ADCs. I'm just surprised they're not full on committing to it. Why is the brand going topside?
Karma's up now. Shimano is also
No, they should be able to end this.
Blade Dance goes in, gets the knockup. Yeah, you're right. That is game. And that means we are going to be going to a game 3, ladies and boys.
Ladies and boys.
But so, as we check out these stats for just a second, that game was totally different compared to last game. Or am I wrong? Was that the exact same game as game 1?
Exact same game.
Well, I asked you. This game was completely different, and you stayed silent.
Oh, well, my bad. I was joining the next lobby. All right, no, we can talk about that game definitely. It was much better. We now saw that Torn was fighting back instead of just rolling over and letting Red Flame do his thing. Instead, they did the opposite. They realized, okay, Shen's going to be having a lot of trouble in this matchup. They abused the blast cone early on, managed to get Shen snowballing, and with Red Flame style, he's always going to be aggressive. Just a lot of the times, he just doesn't have the vision to back him up on it. And that was abused this game. He managed to get punished for it multiple times. He kept going for split pushes, but that Shen's very strong in the sense that he can, at the same time, split push and also help his team stay around and stay alive. And the Stand United just proved to be very strong. So, coming into the next game, I fully expect it to be banned away. They know that Shen's a pretty safe pick. There's not a lot of potential to get the solo kills, especially since Ivern doesn't provide much extra damage. Just a little bit of CC and peel and stuff. That's the kind of stuff that really Red Flame does not utilize fully. The whole utility style jungler, he wants somebody that can jump in there with him. And so the Shen pickup and then picking up the Graves as well, somebody with enough damage to kill Red Flame if he's caught out, and then abusing him every time he goes for the split push, I thought that was very smart. It showed that they understood their win conditions. They could 4v4 or do whatever or just collapse on the Red Flame and really just take out the strongest point of Toxic Kittens.
So we are going to have to see if all of that does come true as we set up for Game 3. So stay tuned with us, guys. We will be right back.